What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's up, dude?
What's the word, man? You over here looking like Ray Charles, man, with your glasses on. You super cool.
Exactly. That's what I'm going for. I'm banged up, dude. I'm on injured reserve.
Hey, it's like that, man. But you know what? Even when you're hurt, you're finding ways to make plays. You're finding ways to impact the game. Just like that. So I see the resemblance right there, man. It's all good.
That's all I'm going for. Exactly. But man, dude, there was a big game yesterday, and
without a doubt, man.
Dude, incredible. Do you want to just give the instant reaction right now between both of us?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Shout out to the defense, man. The defense bought out. Defense crazy.
Dude, they were nuts. But I mean, you saw some of the texts. Obviously, you were driving while the game was going on.
Yeah.
And you saw my text, dude. It just felt like I was in Disney World, man. It was so magical. The offense.
Hold on.
What?
It didn't start out that way. It did not start out that way.
It doesn't matter, dude.
I'm driving in the car, and the texts were like crazy. First it was like, oh, it's over. It's trash. We can't stop them. Then it was, yo, we on ice. We could just be balling, bro. Our defense is dominant. and then I got a random text. No. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Oh yeah, exactly. But no, it was an all around team victory, and that's what I loved about it. There was something to how the offense was looking, especially in that second half, late second quarter to second half, that it was just like sparked back some flashbacks of Ben being in there a little bit and slinging it. It was just, I don't know, dude. It was aesthetically pleasing as opposed to you were seeing it with our offense when Mason was in there, a lot of dink and dunks, and you see it a lot around the league. But just having him come in there and sling it out, and man, it was awesome to watch. What about you?
Yeah, man, I definitely, when I went back and watched it or whatever, it was one of the better offensive performances we've seen from this team this season because they struggled mightily on offense. And I don't know if it's an expectation thing, why we're that much higher on it, but either way, it looked so much better than what we had been seeing. From a consistency standpoint, taking some shots, even though he still was a little risque with the ball, at the end of the day, they were completions. So as long as you're completing them, hey, you live with it until you don't live with it anymore. But for right there, man, I liked it.
No, definitely. And it was crazy because some of those shots that he was taking, you have to admit, they were on the money, man. Like those fade balls and long balls to like James Washington, the one in the back corner with Deion Kane. I'm assuming the one
that Deion Kane was good touch on that. I like the one that Deion Kane. That was really good touch. The two, it was 2 through to James Washington. That one was a touchdown, one was a completion, a big completion. I still was a little nervous just because the amount of defenders around it. That's all. And right now, when I say it like this, right? This is the only thing. We enjoy it when it works out, right? But all I know is it's like percentages, right? You can have a 20% chance of making something work, right? Mm-hmm. So you hit it that one time, and it gives you that false sense of confidence that, hey, I can make that throw over and over and over again. When in reality, the percentages are drastically against you in that phase. So that's the only thing in terms of like a negative, I would say. But he still, like I said, he made the completions. And that's how you have to look at it. But just going forward, you do want to be a little more careful with it. But he's young. So for me, man, I definitely was liking what I was seeing from him. I do think some of the stuff that we need to talk about is with his scrambling and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just understanding when to climb in the pocket and when to try to outrun defenders. He still has that 1AA mentality where I can outrun everybody. So
going on the outside.
Try to get on the outside, but defenders are way too fast at this level, man.
Because I mentioned that to you whenever we were on a phone call last night, and how much did you see with that? Because there's only one or two that stick out in my mind, but was there more than that? Okay,
it definitely was. But you can tell us his habit. Like when you're watching him on tape more and more now, we're seeing a larger sample size. We saw it versus Cincinnati as well. We saw it versus the Chiefs as well. So now we're getting a larger. Granted, it's only been 3 games? Well, 2 full games and a half. So we're still learning him in this regard. But the thing that I did that we already say, he's not a climb the pocket guy. Like, you have like Aaron Rodgers, he likes to climb the pocket, and then once he climbs it, he escapes to his right. With Duck, you're seeing right now when he has pressure, he thinks that he can lose ground to gain ground. And typically that works if you have that type of foot speed. But at this level, the defenders are so much faster that he's not able to break their contain. And that's where you're seeing him get in trouble a little bit right now.
Well, I guess we already jumped into the offense and Duck Hodges here. Yeah. I kind of derailed us from starting defense.
Hey.
Did you think my assessment was accurate of him whenever we were talking, where I was really high and said he's dropping – what would I say? Teardrops or raindrops?
Teardrops and all this stuff, yeah.
He's dropping bombs.
My thing is this. So this is what I thought it was going to be too. I thought that it was going to be what you said, take it down a notch.
Okay.
And that's what it was. Like he has some beautiful touch without a doubt. But the thing that most concern me are the passes he's throwing into certain coverages. That's my thing. So it's like, yeah, you love the touch. The touch is beautiful. It's all well and good. But when you're making these throws into these coverages, into these crowded areas, just know that your percentages of getting intercepted go up drastically. So you get out of it this game, and you hope that he either learns from that or continues to get that type of success. But all I know is that tend to trend badly if you do it long term like that. But in terms of his touch, though, man, I thought he definitely showed good touch and good comfort out there.
So what do you think the difference is between Duck throwing those balls versus Ben? Obviously, Ben has A-B, but we'd see countless times him throwing into double coverage, just some long bombs. And so what did you see there?
The thing that I noticed most is this. We know with Ben, he's consistently made those throws, but we've also seen Ben be a high interception guy. He led the league in interceptions as well. So you have to factor in that. Everybody likes to just simply think of, oh, well, Ben threw it into triple coverage and made it. We've also seen Ben throw into triple coverage and get picked off a lot to the point where you're scratching your head. So all I'm saying is from a risk reward standpoint, would you be okay? We've seen Ben throw 5 picks in world kicker, right? Because we know he's going to bounce back the following week. Could you sit here and say to yourself that you're going to be okay if Duck throws multiple interceptions in a game? I don't think we would, because he doesn't have that body of work. And that's my biggest issue with that.
Right. Yeah. The body of work's not completely there yet. But I don't know. There is something to, I said on the last podcast, if he throws a pick, I'm not as mad. I feel like, because those big plays are there.
Well, But this might be a pick isn't bad, right? But we're talking about multiple picks.
If you throw 2 or 3, especially with this defense, I feel like people would be pissed if Ben was throwing multiple picks with how this defense was playing, if that allowed another team to be in it.
Right. Well, let's be real. Over these next couple of games, multiple picks versus some of these opponents, it could prove to be very damning for us. So that's my only thing with that. It's like, we would all get enamored with Ben when he's throwing it, like you said, 3 or 4 defenders on AB. But then when he has those games where he's throwing multiple picks, you're like, dude, why are you throwing it over there? So that's my only concern with that. And I know some people are going to want to put Duck in that category of, hey, man, Deke can do it, Duck can do it. Let's be real. Ben is Ben, Duck is Duck. When Duck proves over a longer body of work that he can do it at that level, well, then without a doubt, yeah, we believe in it. But until then, I just wanted to be a little more careful with it. But the biggest thing that I see in terms of Duck making some of those throws versus even a Mason who wouldn't make those throws is the Mason's out there. He's playing to not make those mistakes. He wants to play a lot safer. Whereas Duck, he's playing like his house money. He's playing like, hey, man, what you going to do? Bench me? You going to cut me? I've already had that happen to me, so I don't have nothing to lose. So it's a good thing. But it also can be very dangerous at times. But as long as he's hitting them, man, you roll with it.
So you're saying it factor?
I don't believe in it factor. What I believe in is a guy completing passes, a guy showing touch. If you can define what an it factor is, by all means, let me know.
It's undefinable. It's undefinable. You just say it.
Well, that sounds like the boogie. Or the Tooth Fairy. It's undefinable.
Then how about this for defining? What grade would you give him?
I give him a B+ without a doubt. Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason I don't give him the A, obviously the turnover. I don't know if, granted, it was a miscommunication. We could all see that. He says it was on him. Some people say it was on Deontay. It could go either or. But the interception I don't like because at the time of it. Also the throwaway on third down, and I think it was 3rd and 12. That last 2 minutes left in the game, he throws the ball away, stops the clock. Well, much rather see him either take the sack or just take the sack. Period.
Fair. Yeah.
I would much rather see him do that. Some of his decision making a little early on, like I said, I wasn't a fan of. But overall, man, I thought he did really good.
I got to roll with A+.
Okay, that's fine, man. I expect that from you, though.
Dude,
you
just
know that.
Considering the circumstances coming in like that.
See, this is my thing. We're grading him off of lower expectations, and that's the only reason why I'm like, you saying A+, that when you really look at his numbers, what was A+ about that? But wait,
Dude,
it's solely based on because of how bad it's looked with Mason in there, correct?
That's fair. 10, dude, some of those throws were nice, though, man. I'm telling you.
They were. Without a doubt, they were. They were without.
And I'll say this, too. He wasn't getting much help with a lot of these penalties.
What?
Dude, false starts.
That was multiple guys on the offense. I don't know if it was the cadence thing. I don't know if the guys were locked in, but it was multiple guys.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Duck wasn't getting help because of that. So I'm saying for him to overcome some of these penalties and get some drives rolling, and dude, considering the circumstances, I gotta go A+, and just for my own personal pleasure, seeing some of those balls that were being thrown out there. Oh man, it was definitely a sight to be seen. It was something refreshing.
It definitely was, man. For me, I told you this before. I don't like to switch up how I view a person just because of the expectations of another person failing. Now I'm gonna, oh man, well that was so bad that even though this was just really good, I'm gonna make it a great performance because it's been so long since I've seen really good, and that's how I look at it. What I view as a great performance or an A+ performance would be multiple touchdown passes, 300+ yards, flat out balling out the whole game. For me, I didn't see that. It took to the last 2 minutes of the second quarter for them to really get something going. And then from there, it heated up in the second half. For me, I view great as the whole time you're balling out. The whole time, it was never any question of, is this quarterback the guy? Because let's be real. When we check the social media temperature, when we check Steeler Nation's temperature, in the first half, before those last 2 minutes, they were direct. He sucks. He's just as bad as Mason, or he is worse than Mason. We saw that numerous times, not only from fans, but from media outlets as well. So for me, I'm not going to sit here and act like that didn't happen and then just say, oh, it's A+. That's personally me. I can't do that.
Dude, you're on Twitter and all that more than me then during the games.
Hey, I check everything, man.
You keep the pulse.
I check Twitter, IG. I'm checking the post, man. I want to know what you're feeling. Not only fans, but media as well. I need to know what the culture wants, man.
I feel you. See, actually, I was going to say I keep my thoughts in my own head, but honestly, you've been the one that's getting the receiving end on some of these messages, so you get... Oh, but I don't check anyone. But here's my question to you then with the first half start is how much do you think that was the coaching with some of those just short passes and keeping him handcuffed?
I always say it's funny, man, how we will praise Duck's last 2 minutes and whole second half, but people still criticize Randy Fichtner for his play calling when he was the one who understood that, hey, you don't throw a young quarterback out there and just have him slinging it early in a game like that. You help him ease into it and minimize his exposure. You get creative. You saw the reverses. You saw the Wildcats. You saw all these other things that he was doing to help Duck out. And then from there, once Duck starts to feel more comfortable and he's throwing the shots that he's supposed to throw, well, now you can expand it. But it's negligence on a coaching staff if you go out there and say, oh, man, I know this is the quarterback that you cut, this quarterback that was undrafted that nobody wanted, and just have him going out here and slinging it from the beginning. That's not responsible. That's not what you do as a coach. What you do is you minimize his exposure early. You try to lean on that running game, and then from there you take your shots when they're there. And I thought they did an awesome job in that regard. But that just shows you, once again, how fickle some of the fans are when you're watching these games. Because even you yourself was about to criticize Randy on his play calling early on, when it's like, dude, if he has him out here slinging it early on, he's throwing picks and the game gets out of hand, well, now you're going to be frustrated with Randy. Why did you call that, man? You gotta put him in better situations, man. Run the ball. What do you play action? What are you doing?
So Fichtner's secretly a mastermind behind all this?
Well, it's no different than how people have been criticizing Keith Butler all season as well. And his defense is one of the top ranked in the league. People, hey man, I feel like people, a lot of times going into the season, fans that have their predetermined notions in terms of who they like and who they don't like as coaches. And from then on,
go ahead.
Yeah, and then from then on, regardless of what they do, it's always a but. I mean, you still got the Tomlin haters out there. Tomlin should be in the coach of the year argument without a doubt. Should probably be the front runner for it. But yet people are constantly, whoa, what about this, man? But what about that? What? His club management sucks. Well, he ain't using time up. It's like, bro, what are we talking about here, man?
It's funny because you don't hear anything. It's funny because you don't hear anything about Butler anymore.
Yeah. Well, you don't. But literally,
dude, you
go on social media, and type in his name, and you still get the negativity, without a doubt.
Man, dude, that's crazy. You're more tuned in than me, man.
Hey, man, the same way Coach Tomlin has his thumb on this team's pulse, I try to have my thumb on Steelers Nation's pulse, man. I got to see what they feeling, man. I got to see what they're thinking about, their emotions.
Absolutely. Now, with Duck starting to sling it out, though, that gave way opportunity to number 13, James Washington, which is something you really like to see because you don't know that he's got that in him unless some of those chances are being made. And, dude, he stepped up big time. That was huge.
Yeah, he made multiple combat catches. Those are the things that you love the most, where it's a highly contested pass, but he goes up and says, I'm going to go get it. That's the thing that I was very impressed with the most. I was more impressed with James Washington than I was with Duck, honestly, just because with James, he's in those situations where if this receiver is just average, they're not going to make those plays, and they're probably going to be intercepted passes.
True.
But James is saying to himself, like, no, I'm going to go and get this ball. Even when I'm getting pass interference against me or pass interference on me, I'm still going to go and get this ball. And those are the things that I like the most. And it's showing a trend that throughout the whole month of November, and now that it's December, he's been playing his best ball as a professional. Like, it's not even close. This month alone, and like I said, obviously this game was December 1st, but the whole month of November, he played at an extremely high level, making comebacks and showing the run after, showing what they invested in him in terms of draft capital when they picked. Like, he is the guy that I think can really emerge in this offense. And if Duck's going to be the guy that's going to put the ball out there for him to go get it and make a play, well, shoot, man, and keep him in there because James is definitely emerging, and I think that he has the potential to do something special the rest of the season.
What's interesting, too, is he's emerging. We got Benny Snow emerging, too. And although we didn't give him too much run, Kareth White looked pretty solid. But this is all without Juju and James Conner even. So getting them back, man.
It should definitely help, man.
If Duck can keep this up.
Well, the thing that I liked about Kareth was what he did in the return game. We talked about how our kickoff return units had looked very stagnant. Our punt returns had looked stagnant. When we watched this game, Kareth had the longest return of any Steeler this season in kickoff return. And then Deontay had a nice punt return as well. He showed a lot more security catching the ball. He's showing growth in that element of his game. And that's what you want to see from those young players. Can they continue to evolve? Can they minimize the errors that we've seen from them earlier and start to develop into professional athletes? And that's definitely what I'm seeing from those two guys in particular.
No, absolutely. Now, I want to give a big shout out and apology again. Deon Cain, dude.
Hey, man.
Big impact.
Plays, man.
Getting that first down. Plays. Getting that first down, and then the back corner throw from Doc, throwing the penalty. I mean, I got to give a shout out to him. That's all.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's something about playing ball, man. You just stay ready, and it's a different level of overall readiness in terms of a feel for the game, in terms of conditioning. And you're seeing that with him. And you're seeing that with Kareth. Both of those guys literally scooped up off of practice squads, and they're coming and making impacts on back-to-back weeks and ultimately helping this team with 2 critical divisional wins, keeping them in the playoff hunt. If those 2 guys aren't there, do they win these past 2 games? Probably not.
No. It's crazy, too. You got to shout out the scouting department or the coaching staff, whoever's getting these players on the team. Like, how I mean, who knows about them? And them for them to just say, hey, these guys can make an impact.
Scouting department and Kevin Colbert, man. That's what they do. Their job is to find talent. Their job is to go find those diamond in the roughs like that. And they've been doing a really good job in that department. But historically, they've been able to find gems. Everybody talks about Antonio Brown. Remember, he was a 6th-round pick. So they're finding different guys at different points in the draft or free agency or signing them through practice squads and things like that. And these guys are being able to come in and have impacts. And I think that's just a testament to this organization. They don't go out and try to make the splash signings. Oh, man, this guy's available this week. Let's sign him. Oh, that guy's available. Let's trade for him. Let's trade for AJ Green. Let's sign this guy off the street. No.
Who does that sound like?
It's a method. It's a method that they have. And it's the reason why they've been able to not only be successful in the short term, but have that longevity as well, because it works. And that's why you just have to trust the process. You can't get over anxious. You can't get nervous and start blinking. You have to cut your eyelids off, Deke. You cut your eyelids off.
Dude,
when you want to make a decision like that.
I can't right now. There's my one eyelid's completely shut. I can't.
Man, rough weekend, man. It's like that sometimes. Hey, it's like that.
Anything else we're missing on the offense? I wanted to give another shout out to Benny Snow. Obviously came on the podcast, balled out, helped close the game out for us.
His first NFL touchdown, man.
So yeah,
his first NFL touchdown. So major shout out to Benny, man.
Yeah, it must be something to do with the podcast. Little podcast magic, maybe.
Oh, listen, I was telling my wife the whole time on driving back. I'm like, hey man, everybody listen, come on the podcast. They're balled out. Bud been on the podcast. He's out. Eddie's still doing his thing. We obviously seen Deja out there making plays. I was like, hey, Benny comes on. He scores a touchdown. This is what we do.
It is. It is what we do. Now, are you ready to transition to the defense here?
Oh, I've been ready because they're the reason why. That's all I'm saying. Everybody likes to just gloss over the defense. I just don't understand it. You know what the defense reminds me of? No. Stop it. Because you're ready. You wanted to talk about Duck. Well, and granted, Duck played great. No, stop. Duck had an awesome game.
Yeah.
Duck had an awesome game. The offense finally stepped up, right? But without that defense is like the super faithful, just awesome woman in your life that you need. She cooks, she cleans, she's there for you. She looks good. She always gets your back. But yet you constantly want to go into the thing around the corner that's average at best and spend all your time over there. No. But then when she leaves you, now you hurt it. Now you feel, oh man, well, I needed you. I'm so sorry, baby. That's what this is like right now, man.
Well, there's that, and that
you are bad at it. Well, you and a lot of Steel Nation are bad at it, man.
Well, it's funny too because the average girl on the corner. They have one like good day, and then that's what happens. That's when you want to leave, but then it comes back to bite you later.
Hey man, come on, bro.
But I think this girl in the corner might have turned a new leaf here.
Hey, all I know is
maybe you could have both.
All I know is wifey's been holding you down since day one. Through the other girl that was on the corner that you thought was pretty.
Hey,
she didn't help you through all of that. That's all I'm saying.
What's wrong with having both?
But, hey, I'm not even going there with you.
But I guess what you're saying is even if you do have both, one would take the priority. You should stick with that stable one as the priority then.
Yeah, because we've seen now on multiple weeks, even when this offense is slow to start or when this offense has struggled and been non-existent, the Steelers defense has still been that constant. The Steelers defense has still found ways to create turnovers. The pass rush is insane. I mean, you pick your poison, whether you want to have TJ go at you or Bud go at you. Obviously, you see Javon Hargrave and Cam in the middle. They're just so dynamic up front that quarterbacks aren't having time. And the biggest difference between this game and last game, Baker last game was able to escape the rush. He's able to extend some of those plays. That was not happening this time. Those guys were finishing their rushes. Even when they missed him, 2 and 3 guys were still there to come and finish off the play, create the havoc, the forced fumbles, the turnovers. I mean, this is another week for for Steelers defense to have another turnover. That's 30 on the season, 43 sacks. They're playing out of control. And something that we did casually gloss over, I believe this is I wrote this down actually. It's the 19th consecutive game that our Steelers offense has turned the ball over, man. We got to clean that up. I'm just saying, we got to clean that up. Our defense is insane right now, man. Our defense is playing at a crazy level, but our offense still has to clean those turnovers up. Regardless of whose fault it is, they have to get that out their game, because this could have easily been just like San Fran, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you had that late game turnover, which we saw. And granted, when the Browns started marching, the Steelers were able to get the sack, ultimately get them out of field goal range. They ended up doing the little pooch punt, which was a crazy, was it down at the one? Was it a touchback? That was all crazy too.
Yeah, refs scared us, man.
But they got to clean up that part of their game though, man. Those turnovers are very detrimental. And once again, it just shows that how that defense, Old Faithful there, still got you, even when you go over there to the thing on the corner and she hurt your feelings a little bit.
Well, I want to apologize. I mean, it's my fault because I think it's this new format that just threw me off, and I just went right knee jerk instantly to my natural my natural being and going right to the offense instead of even, because here's the thing, I could have been talking about how you picked against us, but I'm gonna gloss over that.
No, absolutely.
I just went right into the offense, and here's the thing, though. I mean, I don't think it would be as fun picking on you for that as it is with me, just because, dude, you are that just steady. You're just not getting too high, too low, just telling us how it is, and you're the expert. So like, we should be looking to you for this type of advice. Whereas with me, I'm reckless. So I'm not gonna get on you too hard for that.
Listen, I am glad that you own your recklessness. And what did I tell you? Even when I picked, I said, look, I hope I am wrong, because for us, business is way better when the Steelers win.
It's booming.
And for me as well, I'm not going there, but for me as well, I'm very passionate about the program, the organization. So I always want them to do well, even though I feel like sometimes I pick with them too much. But going into this game, none of us could have imagined that Duck was going to come out here and play to the level that he did. We knew he was going to play better than what we had seen from Mason, but to that extent, we did not know that was going to happen. So for me, I'm definitely glad to be wrong, man. I own it. I love it. Thank you.
Well, here's the thing with the defense too. You touched on this. Even the plays that Baker was able to escape, this was one of the keys that we talked about. I guess you got to shout out to the cornerbacks too. There were times where there were 2 or other 3 defensive linemen or linebackers that were able to clean it up, but there were also times where he couldn't throw to anyone. Like there was, he was scrambling around there, and then there was no one's open. So I'm assuming that has to be the safeties and the cornerbacks, the defensive backs in coverage there. So big shout out to them for sticking on that. But then go ahead.
I was gonna say, hold on. Speaking of those DBs, an unsung hero, Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton was matched with Odell and Jarvis Landry on multiple occasions, critical situations, and he stepped up in a huge way.
No, yeah, big shout out to them. Now, my question to you is, I can't remember the name of the player, but I saw this on social media that there was a difference in the defensive scheming from the first half to the second half. And you could see that because I was texting you, like you were saying in the first half, man, we're getting dominated, we're getting owned, they're shredding us. Like I don't know what we're gonna do here. And luckily we were able to hold them to 3 points the first drive, and then just really 10 points in the whole first half. But was there anything that you saw? I know the all 22 or the game tape isn't officially out, but did you see anything just from what you did watch in terms of the defense?
Yeah. So in the first half, they were doing what you call run blitzes. So typically you're going to have either a linebacker shooting a gap, or you're going to have a safety blitzing off the edge and things like that. And the issue with it is this: it's high risk, high reward. If you make your play, you should have them for a 0 to a no yard gain to a loss. But the problem is you're not able to make reads as linebackers, so you're shooting gaps. So if anyone misses their tackle, they don't, get into the gap they're supposed to get into, you're going to get gashed. And that's what we were seeing earlier with Nick Chubb and how he was being able to sprint, break off some of those multi-yard runs back to back to back like that. Just because when you're doing those type of blitzes, because you have run blitzes and you have pass blitzes. The pass was like your more exotic ones where you see the guys doing 3 and 4 twists, got Mike Hilton blitzing and things like that. Those are good for passing situations, but you also have run blitzes where okay, this is a team that likes to run the ball to the tight end side. So we're going to blitz the tight end side so we get an extra defender over there. And it works sometimes, but when it doesn't, that's when you start seeing that. So in the second half, the thing I noticed was they didn't blitz as much. They just let their front 4 or front 5 guys just beat their guy one-on-one. And we saw with TJ, him controlling his tight ends, tackles. We saw Bud. A lot of times, George trying to leave Bud free on the backside. He was chasing down plays. Those were the biggest things that I was seeing. But then also early in the game, because the way the offense was looking for the Steelers, they still weren't looking like a threat. Remember, they only had I think it was 8 plays in the first 2 quarters.
Yeah.
8 plays, 9 yards, whatever it was. So for the Browns, they didn't feel the need to have to switch up and throw a little bit more. So they were able to rely heavier on the run. In the second half, when they got 10-10, and then from there, the Steelers went ahead. Mm-hmm. Now the Browns, they feel that sense of urgency. Hey, we have to throw the ball more. And we already talked about the Browns' weakness is their offensive line when they have to pass protect. When they're able to run the ball, that's one of their strengths. Nick Chubb was coming into the game as the second leader rusher in the league. But when you can't fully commit to the run game like they wanted to, or like they did on that Thursday night game, now you're playing to the Steelers' hands because they couldn't protect them. But it all started with the Steelers' offense being competent at that 2-minute mark and in the second half, because now it made the Browns have to get out their comfort zone.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Now, good call or bad call on the Browns' part for doing that?
Well, I don't think it's a good or bad. I think that's just something that you have to do. Otherwise, you feel like you're going to run out of time or not have enough time to get back into it. And I think that's the biggest difference. If it's 10-10, or even if you're up 10-0, you feel extremely comfortable just running the ball. When it gets, we're down now, and it's the second half, you feel that urgency of, hey, we can't just keep running this ball like that. We're going to need to make a splash play. We're going to need to throw the ball a little bit more. And that's when you open yourself up or expose yourself to some of these beings in terms of their lack of offensive line protection and our front that can just get sacks on anybody. So that's just the give and take of that element. But I don't think it was a bad call by the Browns. I think that's just what any coach would do. If it was us and it's the second half and we're down 10, or we're down 7, we're going to come out here and throw that ball as well. Even if it's not the best time, we're going to do it because you have to.
No, completely understandable. Now, dare we say the Steelers' defense might be top in the league right now?
I've been thinking that. I know people say New England, I know people say Baltimore, but I think we're up there.
Well, here's the thing. We just saw the New England game last night, and they gave up a decent amount of points to the Texans. And if you just take our defense outside of those first 3 or 4 weeks, the stats, we're number 1 in a bunch of those categories. Whereas,
that's the thing we laugh about, though. We got to take them outside of those first couple weeks. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Unfortunately, all those stats count, man. So that's how I look at it.
It counts, but I guess in terms of who's playing the best defense right now, who can you rely on now and going forward?
In terms of the best defense right now, without a doubt, they're definitely in that conversation. I feel like they're in that conversation. I think Baltimore's in that conversation. I think San Francisco's in that conversation. And even with New England struggling how they did, you have to remember they're playing against the Texans offense that has Deshaun Watson, that has DeAndre Hopkins. They have a ton of talent on that offense. So even with that being said, I still think they're in that mix. They're in that conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's cool because now with that defense, now we're seeing a little bit of offense. So how do you feel just going forward with this squad in terms of making some noise?
Bro, whatever this noise is that you're speaking of.
I'm just saying, man, the noise level is cranked up right now.
But you won't even tell me what noise is. Is noise like Super Bowl, or is noise like?
Listen, dude, I got in trouble. Noise? I got in trouble last time whenever you started having me define it because I don't want to go back on what we were talking about. So I'm just gonna say, make some noise. I think people know what that means.
Oh man, I just like clarity. That's all. I like clarity.
Nah, man, you don't need anything with noise. All I'm saying is,
give me this big statement, make some noise.
Dude, you gotta be feeling good though. You gotta be feeling good about this squad overall.
No.
Especially if last week. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, especially last week, if we were both feeling good with this game, all the hype and how much more talented we thought Cleveland was than the Bengals. I mean, for everyone, both facets of the game, the offense and the defense, to step up like this, dude, I'm feeling good. And then, hey, listen, I just said making some noise, and I'm just going to throw some other things out here from around the league. You know, New England's kind of coming back down to earth here. I know the Ravens won, but Lamar's numbers are dipping a little bit in the passing game. Maybe he's getting found out a little bit. Are we hitting our stride at the right time?
Wait a minute. What were Lamar's numbers?
I'm just telling you, his passing numbers were down a little bit. It was raining.
So what do you rank Lamar's performance? That's all I want to know.
What?
I said, what was Lamar's performance rate? Because you did give Duck an A+. I just want to know what you rank Lamar's.
I didn't watch the game, so I'm just going off.
Smart answer.
I'm going off the box score, and I'm going off the highlights.
Smart answer. What was the box score for Lamar, anyways, man?
All I know, his passing numbers weren't crazy. That's all I'm saying. It's his numbers dipping a little bit, because they might have went down a little bit last week, if I'm remembering correctly. But
he had 5 touchdowns last week, though. Just 5 passing touchdowns last week.
Lamar?
Yes, Monday night.
Oh, that was the Rams. That was the Rams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking the yards. That's what I'm thinking. The raw numbers, the raw yards.
Okay.
Because anyone could get a touchdown from like 10 yards out, man, if the offense is just there.
You know how many yards Duck threw for?
All I'm saying, well, dude, the first half was just a different. The real Duck came out in the second half.
What?
All I'm saying,
man,
dude, you're trying to get me in trouble. You're trying to get me in trouble because now you got me talking reckless here. All I'm saying, are we hitting our stride at the right time and our other teams starting to come back down to earth?
14 of 21 for 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, A+ grade. Boy.
Circumstances or expectations, they change a lot, man.
Whatever you say, man.
People got Lamar talking.
With you. I'm gonna ride. I got my hands up. Woo! I'm riding around with you, man. Let's do it.
Hey, are we hitting our stride at the right time? That's all I'm saying. November, December.
Hey, when you talk about Coach Tom and Coach Team, they always have the most success in November, December. So for me, I look at it like this is what's normal for this team. This was normal for this organization, regardless of who's out there. This is what they do. But in terms of feeling good about it, absolutely. The fact that they're stacked wins. We talked about how this offense, or not even this offense, but this team as a whole, struggled to stack multiple winning performances on top of each other early on in the season. So now to see them get 2 in a row, they have a chance in a very favorable matchup versus Arizona where they can get a 3rd one in a row. This is what you want to see. You want to see them, because that's the mark of a good team. They can stack multiple good performances back to back to back, regardless of personnel, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the location. So we're going to see over these next couple of weeks if this is a good team or not. And I think that they definitely can be. I think that they have shown promise. They are trending in the right direction. We're going to learn a lot more about Duck as well as he continues to evolve. The same way we had a conversation about Mason. The more we saw him, the more we understood about him. And even with Mason, we still don't know 100% everything about him. But the more we get a larger sample size of a player, the more we're going to know what they can do, what they can't do, what they struggle with, what they excel at. So I'm excited to see how Duck responds this following week now.
100%. That's probably the best way to put it right there.
Absolutely, man.
But I'm just saying, there's other things going on around the league that gets me more and more hopeful right now, like that, especially with this game. Dude,
I'm glad to hear that, man.
As much as I said, hey, we're going to win this game, Browns are going to screw themselves, whatever the hype's going to get to them. I mean, there was legitimate conversation or takes that, hey, we could lose this game because Browns are that talented. But then,
well,
like I said, for them to step up like that, and then just seeing what's going on around the league, and then some of these schedules are tougher for other teams in the mix going forward. Hey, man.
And we talked about that too, right, with the whole scheduling thing, because as fans and media people, everybody likes to hit them with the, oh man, that should be an easy game, that should be a win, that should be a loss. And we talked about how an Oakland team had to go to New York to play the Jets, and everybody was assuming that was going to be a win for Oakland. The Jets blow them out. Then the Jets turn around and they play. They're playing the Bengals, who hadn't won a game all season. You're like, oh, this is an easy win for them. They've won the past 3 of their last 4, and they go in there and get beat. You talk about the Eagles, who were going to have the Miami Dolphins team. That's been struggling.
And Eagles need to win.
Yeah, and the Eagles needed to win, and that should have been a game that you're like, oh, absolutely, that's a win for them. No, Miami goes in there and beats them. You talk about the day going, the Ravens, and how people were saying that, oh man, when they got to play the Texans, the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Niners, that's their tough part of the schedule. They're not going to win all those, and they go in there and beat all those teams. We talk about the Bills and how oh man, that should be a tough game for them. They got to play in Dallas on Thanksgiving. That's a loss. No, they go down there and beat them handily. So I don't really buy into that narrative of, oh man, the schedule's very favorable, man. We got the Cardinals, we got the Jets, we got the Ravens, we got the Bills. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't buy into that.
Well, two of those are tougher than the others, but I'm saying,
but which two?
Bills and Ravens.
See, I don't think that, because if the Ravens already secured the number 1 seed, they're not going to have their starters out there. Right. So why would that be a tough game?
Unless it's just to knock us out, but they're probably...
Especially, man, people aren't doing that, man. At the end of the day, you want to go into that dance as healthy as possible. If you got to secure it where you got that 1 seed guaranteed, or you're locked into that 2 seed, you can't get that 1 seed, you're not putting your guys out there for that last game just for, oh, let's knock that team out. That's not how it works, man.
You got to take care of you, right?
Absolutely. Because if you go out there with that mindset, we're going to put Lamar and all these guys out here just to beat the Steelers, and they get hurt and they go into the playoffs, they're not 100% healthy, oh man, they'd be calling for Hodges' head over there, man.
Well, not just our schedule. I mean, I looked at the Bills and the Titans. Theirs are a little dicey too. So I just wanted to throw that in the play, that where ours might be a little lighter, and then the other teams in the mix might be a little harder. That's
because technically, my thing is that Bills and Cowboys game was supposed to be one of the harder games, correct?
That's fair.
Yeah, that's my only reason why I never really go down that thing. And like I said, for the Jets, the Bengals game was supposed to be one of their easy games.
No, you bring up good
the Bengals were supposed to be one of our easy. The Bengals were supposed to be one of our easier games. We were in a dogfight with them. Let's be real about it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, good. We
got to focus on us. That's the biggest thing. We have to focus on us. We have to make sure that we're executing. We got to stop turning the ball. That's the big thing that's killing us right now. Got to stop with the turnovers.
Yeah, that's fair. All good points, man. Is there anything else we're missing with this game? Anything else you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I think we definitely got to shout these coaches out, though, in terms of Mike Tomlin, Keith Butler, Randy Fichtner, and Danny Smith. In all of those phases, offense, defense, special teams, those guys were prepared. Those guys were locked in. They all had different adversity they had to face throughout the game, but they all responded in big ways, and that's a direct correlation of the coaching staff. We're quick to critique or criticize coaches when something negative happens, and then gloss over them when something positive happens. I think that it's important that we give them our due diligence, because they have been getting these guys ready to go, and that's regardless of who they've had available. We talk about an offense that had this game no James Conner, no Juju, no Marquise Pouncey. They still found a way to look productive. They still found a way to get it done. We talk about this defense.
The best all season.
How going in. Yeah, no question. They did look the best all season. Then we talk about this defense, who we knew were going to be going against an ultra-talented Browns offense. They found a way to minimize them and get it done. We talked about our special teams unit and how Bus continues to hit his field goals, and how the coverage units continue to make great plays in terms of open field tackles. Johnny Holton was flying around out there. Justin Lane was flying around out there as well. All of those guys in the coverage units continue to make plays. So those are the things that I'm excited about, and that I think we should definitely take time to acknowledge them in that regard.
Well, and it's funny too, we touched on this earlier in the podcast, just the defensive scheming change from the first to second half. This is something that Steeler fans have complained about for years with Tomlin. Oh, this team doesn't make
adjustments at halftime.
Yeah, so I mean, there's something right there for you. So you definitely got to give a shout out for that.
Or Randy Fichtner needs to get more creative with the offense. I mean, the only thing we were missing yesterday was the flea flicker double pass annexation of Puerto Rico. Everything else was there, man. We had Zach Baker lining up as a wing and pulling. We had everything going on out there.
It was a great team win, dude. Great team win. I'm excited. And
absolutely, man.
I wanted to touch on yesterday with that Patriots game. Actually, I texted you who to start for my fantasy team between Brady and Kirk Cousins. I needed 14 points, and what do you know, man? It's not looking good. It's not looking hot. Patriots are sucking, and he gets the over 14 points for me. He throws for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then I text you. Well, I could put it to you this way. I mean, you count on TB12 to get you those wins. That's all that matters. I wasn't worried about the Patriots win. You're going down with TB12 over Kirk Cousins. I put my money where my mouth was, and that's what happened. They got me the win. I'm in the fantasy playoffs. But anyway, me texting. Go ahead.
Just make sure that you put it in context. Got you the fantasy win, but the Patriots got smacked yesterday, and it wasn't close.
Well, that's the thing I was gonna say.
Yeah, and that's what drives me nuts about fantasy right there. Drives me nuts.
Hey, you count on TB12 to get you the dubs, fantasy or not, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was weird for me to text you that Brady was a garbage time hero for me yesterday. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. It was a weird text.
Yeah, not a fan. I'm like, this is awkward, bro. but you just proving my point, man.
Well, yeah. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
Oh man, let's see. I think we're good, dude.
I think we're good, man. I just got to get healthy
because defense,
this is weird doing over the phone like this. We got to get back in person.
Oh man, you got to stop looking at these records lifestyles, man.
Ah, come on,
the whole vibe, and that's just how it rolls sometimes, man. So shout out to the Ray-Bans. Hey, I like it. So it's all good. I look forward to when we do this again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got to get better for not only the podcast, but then us going out to Arizona next week. So,
AZ, we will be there soon.
I'm excited, man. I'm definitely
excited. West Coast, baby. Steelers West. We out there.
Absolutely. But yeah, dude. Everyone, thank you for listening. Right, and
absolutely.
Until
man.
Next time.
Peace.